So let's see some examples of failures or flops. The first example is the Cybook. It was launched in 2000, the Cybook Gene, by Cytel, which is a French firm. The failures are principally related to bad attributes. Due to low hard disk drive, because it had only 32 megabytes, enabling the book to stock few books. The price was too high, 150 to 900 euros, whereas the book price was 40 euros. A lack of ergonomy and ease of use, because the book weighed 1 kilogram, the size was too big, the visibility bad, and the autonomy only 1 hour. The market was limited, and there was a high resistance of retailers and customers because of the strength of the traditional book market and editors. There was a high resistance of consumers because of safety and privacy issues, low self-efficacy in using a Cybook, and a high learning process required. The resistance of retailers and editors because of the fear of piracy. The example of the Cybook shows that sometimes products arrive too early, because today the ebook market is exploding. The revenues in the ebook segment is projected to reach 16 million of US dollars in 2020. There's a growth rate of 5%, and the user penetration is also high. So it shows that 20 years after the launch of the Cybook, the ebook market is highly present, and the resistances of the market have fallen down. Namely, consumers have learned how to use tablets and ebooks, and the retailers and editors also accepted the ebook market. At the same time, the tablets became more ergonomic and easy to use, smaller, with a weight of something like 200 grams compared to the 1 kilogram of the Cybook. The hard disk drive increased, enabling the users to storage a large number and thousands of ebooks and other digital contents. So in summary, the market became major and is now a highly interesting market. The leader on the ebook market is Amazon with its Kindle devices, the Kindle Paperwhite, which is one of the most bought ebooks. The penetration is very high. For example, in the US, 90 million of US inhabitants have an ebook reader, which represents a penetration of 50% of the market. In the case of Windows Vista, it was launched in 2007. Windows Vista was an incremental innovation compared to Windows 2000 and Windows XP. The problem is that Windows Vista offered no functional benefits compared to Windows XP. Furthermore, it had a lot of problems. It slowed down the PC because it was very RAM intensive. It took a lot of space on the hard disk drive, and the security issues were too important. So certain software packages out of Windows were rejected. This made the system unstable. Furthermore, Windows Vista was too complex, not easy to use, as there were problems of compatibility with Windows XP, and this required a new learning process as the interface was completely new compared to Windows XP. Therefore, consumers had a high reluctance to change to the operation systems. This resulted in low externalities as few users adopted Windows Vista. Finally, consumers adopted a wait-and-see situation and waited that the new Windows operation system came out in 2009, which was Windows 7. Windows Vista was sold only 20 million of times, whereas Windows 7 was sold more than 500 million of times. The example of the minidisc of Sony. It was launched in 1992. The minidisc was a radical innovation and had pioneer benefits. There was also high social recognition due to the highly innovative technology and the radical innovation. The functional benefits were very high. The size was small compared to the Walkman with a tape. It had high digital sound quality compared to the audio tape of the Walkman, similar to the CD, but it was recordable. So it was something like a hybrid between audio type of the Walkman, and it's a CD player with high digital sound quality, recordable, and easy to use. The storage capacity was also high. On one disk, 80 minutes of music could be stored. Later improvements enabled even users to record 320 minutes of music. It had a storage function and could be used as a USB stick with content storage with 1 gigabyte. There was a dictaphone function. And finally, compared to the Walkman, the mini disc player had an anti-shock function that prevents music distortion when jogging or moving. But on the other hand, there were a lot of problems. First of all, there was a high price. So this device targeted only a niche market. The main problem was then the appearance of MP3 formats, USB sticks, and recordable CDs as large competitors targeting mass markets with lower prices. Whereas the mini disc targets only a niche market. It was not so easy to use as the screen was very small and the content quite difficult to read. There was a need of a closed platform called Sonic Stage to transfer the files from the platform to the Sony disc player, and the burning time was also slow to transfer the music. There were limited indirect externalities as Sony had few contracts with the music industry, so the music catalog was limited, representing low externalities. There was no compatibility with former system, that is the CD, the tape, or the middle disc, so customers were very reluctant to change. This resulted in few users, and so low direct externalities, as users could not exchange their content with other users, and there was finally no contamination of the early majority, that is the chat. All these factors led Sony to finish the sales in 2011. In this time, between 1990 and 2011, only 22 million of units were sold of the mini disc player, whereas the big success, the Sony Walkman, was sold 220 million of times. The Virtual Boy of Nintendo. It was launched in 1995. It was an incremental innovation based on a false 3D with mirrors. It was supposed to be the first 3D game console. But it was too complex to use, not easy to use, and there were no really benefits. It worked with batteries, the playing time was quite reduced. Furthermore, compared to competitors, the system only used 2 colors, red and black. This was too few compared to the competitors who used millions of colors, for example, the Super Nintendo and the Sony PlayStation. The system was a false 3D with mirrors, but this technology was of bad quality. The technology fragile as the alignment of the mirrors could be moved if the console was moved too fast. The 3D effect disappeared and even headaches could be caused. So the governments in the US and Japan prohibited the use for children under 7 years, and they imposed an auto game break function to interrupt the game after 30 minutes of play in order to avoid the headaches and so bad beat. Furthermore, only one player could play, so there were no network effects. And the games were too short. In average, a game lasted 30 minutes, which was not very attractive. There are then limited indirect network effects. 4 games were launched and later 22, but this was definitely too few. The price was too high. At the time, it was launched at $179, which is equivalent to $300 today. And all this resulted in low adoption, thus low direct network effects. So in summary, we can say that no functional benefits or even high technical or functional problems caused the failure of the Nintendo. This was combined with problems of direct and indirect network effects, combined with a too high price. So the result was that the Virtual Boy was only sold 700,000 times, which is few compared to the Wii, which was sold 1 billion of times worldwide.